They'll have most of the session. So if you're watching this recording and I forgot to start it, let me show you one more time this pattern that we were just doing in one row of our orbs. So just dividing through half of the orb with a gentle curve shape, thickening the bottom where it meets the outside, and then aura, and add weighting, aura, and add weighting, following the curve as it kind of changes with the line. And then going perpendicular from the line that I just drew, same thing in the other direction. And on the other side as well. Something like that. Okay, so we just did that in this row of our magnified orbs. So now let's go on to our next pattern. I'm going to work in here. Really simple. We're just going to fill these orbs with orbs. Okay, again, I'm in gray. By the way, Larry says hi. He's outside my office. He wanted me to tell you.
And did these patterns we're doing have names?
They're just they're fragments. Yeah, they do. This one, the spirals, is called printemps. This pattern here is called moon pie. This one doesn't have a name, but we can sort of call it mummifying the orbs. It's kind of a riff on a tangle called Senna, Scena. It's kind of, I guess, yeah, it's like Senna. And then the orbs that we're going to do in here are called tipple. So we're just going to fill the orbs with orbs. They don't have to all be the same size. They don't have to be like a complete orb. You could sort of imagine that they're going around the other side of our three-dimensional figure. They kind of end up looking a little bit like soccer balls. If you have any gaps in between your little orbs, you can fill them in, color them in. Sorry, that was loud. See if I can turn that off. Enjoy every little orb. Enjoy their imperfection. Enjoy the opportunity to just sit and draw little tiny circles on a piece of paper. Okay, I have one more row. If you have more, you can repeat one of your patterns, or if you're mixing and matching, then you're just going to fill in the rest of your orbs now. And I when I was working on this to get ready, I was trying flux in these orbs. So I was just doing our little leaf shapes in our orbs. So I started, on an edge, on a perimeter, and made a little leaf shape, and then I just kind of filled in. And you could squish them in however you want to. And then I just colored in the interstices. Okay, so something like that. So go ahead and, in whatever color you're working with, you can fill in. And this leaf shape is called flux. Okay. I'm thinking I'm going to move to a different color for the background, which is where we're headed next. And I have a green. I'm going to try a green just for something totally different. So it's an 01. So you can stick with black if that's all you've got. You could use your brown pen. Try something different. Up to you. Are we ready to move to some background? Yes? Okay, great. So I'm going to start in this little area down here, and you may have a different amount of space than I do. That's okay. I'm going to move some of my other tools out of the way. And we're going to start with a sort of Tripoli, which is it's a triangle shape. But we're going to start by following the shape of this magnifying glass that we drew down here. So I'm going to start with an aura in my green that goes, I'm not going to do the whole thing yet. It goes about halfway. And then I'm going to go about the same distance around the rim, an aura, not touching. And then I'm going to connect that. So it is a wonky sort of three-sided
Hey, Cantor,
shape. Yeah.
how about using would a jelly roll work or should it just be a micron?
You could use a jelly roll. The line will be a little bit thicker, but yeah, you definitely could. Give it a try. We're just playing. And then I'm gonna also finish tracing aura-ing the rest, but I'm going to also aura that line that I drew here. And I'm going to imagine that the rest of that shape kind of falls off the edge of the paper. Yours may not work out exactly the way this one did, so you're gonna have to, you figure it out how your shape needs to go. Then I'm going to take this line right here as my next point to aura. And again, I'm going to have it go off the page and imagine that it's a triangle whose bottom is somewhere down here that we can't see. Then I'm going to use this line as my next starting point for my next shape. And I'm going to use the curve of the magnifying glass and then imagining that it's going off the page down there. I'm going to do the same thing again. So they're kind of going back and forth like upside down and right side up triangle shapes-ish, sort of. Aura that line. And make my triangle with the base off the bottom of the page. Aura that line. I'm gonna come to the edge where the magnifying glass meets my shell shape. And maybe let's do, I don't know, Tripoli is one of those tangles that kind of takes on a life of its own. Once I start, I don't always know when to stop. Um, let's see, let's do one more. Okay, so I'm gonna stop there. If you want to go farther, you can go farther. So now we could put any number of things inside these triangular shapes. One of my favorites creates a meta pattern that kind of looks like a flower. So I think we're gonna try that. So on the inside, do I want to do that? Sure, let's try it. So on the inside of these triangle shapes, now I'm going to start in this big one because it's going to be easier to see. I'm going to have it, it's like a takeoff and land. And then I'm imagining that it would meet back up at the point down here. So it's kind of this ant hill that grows off the side here. And then we can do it over here too. Sometimes they start to overlap one another. And it's also like a Hamantashen shape if you want to think about it like that. And then I'm just sort of imagining how it would fall on this side here. So let me show you again with this next one. Okay, just this slow sloping, you know, kind of take off and land little hill on the inside of each of these triangular shapes. I use Tripoli all the time. Plays really well with other tangles. It's a really good background because you can kind of manipulate it in a whole bunch of different ways. And you can put lots of different things inside. So here you have to kind of use your imagination as they go off the page. How do they, what are they doing even though we can't see? This one's a little strange over here, but that's okay. So we can add texture by then auraing in our little ant hills that we made. So I'm going to go around now in each one. They're kind of anchored auras. They touch in the corners. Turning your work as you go so your hand stays comfortable. And I like in all colors except black, the more times you kind of the corners become darker because there's more ink there, and I like that effect when we're working with the colored pens. Have to get a little creative with these strange ones over here. And then sometimes I like to put an orb in the center of these shapes, so you kind of squish it in there as if it's kind of tucked inside. And maybe it has a little bezel. And you could color it in, leaving a little bit of a white circle somewhere towards the middle so that it looks like maybe it has a little shine to it. And then you could even color in these little gaps that are left. Something like that, which is interesting. I'm going to go ahead and kind of tuck that orb into this one here. Add a bezel. Color in using leaving a little bit of a white gleam, and coloring the leftover background spaces. They're a little bit eyeball-y. These mysterious creatures are peeking out at us through these shapes, which is kind of fun. Be mindful of your breathing, of your shoulders, of your pen grip. Of where your mind is, if it's wandering. If it is, gently bring it back. Right now I've got this huge one down here. What do I do with this here? A really big eyeball. Take your time filling in. Okay. Something that looks like that. That's interesting. All right, let's keep going over here. And we're going to continue with the triangular shapes. We're going to start to grow them in a different way. What do I mean by that? Let's see. So I'm going to aura this line again, but I'm going to let the top touch the shell. Just kind of separate, like now we're moving on to something else, but it'll all be integrated. And then I'm going to have some lines that just emanate off from this shell at different angles. And my lines are going to crisscross.
You're off screen, Micah.
Sorry, yes, I am. Okay, I'm just creating some emanating lines. Maybe to about there. And then I'm gonna do some more crisscrossing within this area so I get some more different kinds of spaces to work in. And they're pretty randomized. I'm just kind of looking to see where I want to go next. And maybe I'll have one more that kind of cuts through like that. Okay. So lots of different options for what we can do here. Sort of traditional Zentangle type shape. You can do just rounding inside each of these smaller shapes. You're kind of just rounding the inside corners. Oops, that one kind of went out the lines a little bit, but that's okay. You know, so again, always that egg, squishing the hard-boiled egg into the inside shape. So this is one option. I'm going to do this in this little area over here, and then I'm going to show you something else. So if you've done Zentangle and maybe you don't want to do Zentangle again, you can just wait 1 second. And then you can sort of darken in the interstices. Okay, so one option. And then they at the retreat, they were showing us another really cool take on what to do, and it's a little bit like this. So okay, let's say a shape like this one right here. That same kind of, I forget how it started. I'm just trying to think back as to what the order of
It
operation.
was like bales. You started with like
Yeah.
a fairly small and then you went outside it. Like, so it was like a skinny little shape
Yeah,
of
like a
like
rice.
that rice shape, and then you ordered it a couple times.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to go on thank you, Amy. So I'm going to go on one side of this line here, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And I did it one side here and the other side. One side here and the other side, this little rice shape, this grain. And then one side here and the other side. Okay, so I've done all around this original shape that we were looking at here. And then you can kind of grow them towards the center. Again, with that idea of the attached aura. You know, however many you want. And you could go all the way into the middle, or you could leave a little room. And then you could add some orbs in the center. So it's a very similar concept to what we were doing over here, but it's a totally different look. They're related, they're like cousins. So I'm going to go over to this shape here, and I'm going to go, we already did one side. But I'm going to go ahead and do this one, an aura. And this one, and the same thing on the other side. And this one, and the same thing on the other side. And then you can go around it a couple more times, depending on the size of your shape. If it's teeny tiny, you'll probably have less times around. And then go ahead and put your orbs in. So here where it is going to be up against my in Zeppel that I did, I'm just going to do it on the one side here. So no issue, they just kind of integrate together. And then come over here. And then put some little orbs inside there. And you can just keep going around and filling in with those kinds of fun shapes. I'm kind of squishing those little orbs in wherever they fit. And up on the top here, I am going to go on the outside so that I don't have this just straight line hanging out there. I wasn't crazy about how that ended up, but we're going to go with it and see what happens. I have this really big area down here, so I can do many, many of these sort of attached auras to kind of fill in a bit. And you can kind of finesse it and make them a little wider. So we're not here all night. If you want to be here all night, make them very close together. And then you can add your orbs. Oh, so tiny it only had room for one orb inside. And down here, I'm going to imagine the other side of the shape that's kind of coming up. It's really nice once you just get into the groove, you just go. And just enjoy the pattern, just follow the leader. Turning your tile. There's something about this shape that reminds me of balloon animals. Kind of getting that sort of a feeling, which is fun.
Micah, are we going to fill all of the areas that we have left with this tangle, or do you have a third tangle to go?
No, no, that was, I think we're going to fill it. If you wanted to go back to Inzeppel, you could. If you have a different idea, by all means, but I'm going to finish up mine all the same. Just because I'm sort of enjoying the pattern of it. Thank you for asking, though. So I'm just wondering, I sort of went at it that I was going to add the rice shapes around all of this, these last little bits here. Maybe they kind of fade out and these don't get all of the rest of the filler. Maybe they just stay a little bit emptier. I don't know. Just You know, and I suppose you could even just, if your space is really big, you can go and add another little bit on the inside. Nobody needs to know it wasn't there originally. I don't know. I'm just playing right now, so. So I'm thinking I'm maybe going to leave these open and not fill them with the orbs as I add one more orb. That's the great thing about Zentangle. You know, you can always come back. You could leave it a little open and see how you feel, and then you can go back and add more later if you want to. Great, let's take another minute doing this, and then I'm going to do one more tangle over here in this area for tonight, and then we can pick up next time. I'm just giving some love to some of my lines, some rounding, some sculpting of the line. Okay, so I want to do some crazy huggins in this area right here. So you're going to need to go with me on this. I'm going to tuck some orbs in these little nooks along here. You may not have that, but you know, you put some orbs where your little heart desires. They can be random. Okay, and then I'm going to do some that come over here. And okay, so they're sort of evenly spaced, but they're randomized. All right. So the way Crazy Huggins works is that you're going to look at a group of 2 at a time, and really it's kind of 4 at a time, 4 orbs at a time, and you're going to make a shape. Oh, okay. I'm going to start in the middle so that you can visualize this a little bit better. Okay. Does everybody see? Can everyone identify 4 orbs that are sort of in the same vicinity on your tile? Yes? Okay. So focus on those 4 orbs, and with the ones on the left-hand side, you're going to take off and land from this top one, going around to the right, and you're going to come down and curve to this one on the bottom. So taking off clockwise, continuing down, and coming to meet that one. So the way this was first explained to me was like it's the old-fashioned telephone receiver. Okay, everybody do that? Okay, now we're going to look at these over here, and we're going to make the telephone receiver facing in the opposite direction. So I'm going to curve around counterclockwise here and come down here. And it really helps if you kind of draw it in the air before you go. So counterclockwise, loop around like that. Okay, so we have two phone receivers that are facing away from each other. Do we got that? Everybody good? Okay. So now, and I don't know if this is the official way that you do Huggins, but what I do, I'm going to turn my tile so that now these are, instead of being up and down, there's more side to side. Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. Okay, so it's open here and it's open here. So we're going to close off this shape. So this one on the left-hand side is curves counterclockwise and comes around like that. And then this one, to cap it off, comes around clockwise and caps off like that. Okay, so it kind of looks like a scroll or a piece of paper curving on both ends. All right, everybody have a shape that looks like that. Okay, so from this central shape that kind of is our anchor, we can go out and make crazy Huggins. So how are we going to do that? So let's go over here because you can identify. So from any of your 2 points, orbs that you created, go and find 2 more orbs that don't have anything connected. And if you don't have ones nearby, you can draw them. That's the great thing about Crazy Huggins. You can add as you need to. So I'm going to connect these 2 here. And then eventually I'm going to go over here. So I'm going to go clockwise and curve around that way. And I'm going to go counterclockwise and curve around that way. So I get my 2 receivers going in opposite directions. So I want to look at this area down here. So I keep turning my tile so I can be oriented and kind of get my bearings. So we have, here's one side that's already done, but we need to do the mirror on the other side here. So we're going to curve around like that. Okay, and we already have our cap. If this is the shape that we're creating now, we already have our cap here. So we need to make our cap on this side. So I'm going to turn my tile just because it's easier for me to think about it. And I'm going to cap my Huggins shape that way. Is everybody with me or are we totally confused? We're good? Okay, great. There's a more linear way to learn this, but I wanted to dive right in. So here we are. Okay, so now we've got one phone receiver here. If you look for your next 2 that are nearby, or draw them if you don't have ones that are going to work well for you. So here's this is the one that goes clockwise and curves around here. I'm going to make this the mirror image over here, counterclockwise. Follow that curve of that line that we made with this other shape here. So it kind of scoots in together. Okay, so now our top is open. So we can close that off. And our bottom is open. We can do a lot of different things, but we can cap it off down here. Okay, so this is how Crazy Huggins kind of evolves. You can add orbs as you go. You can let it fall off the page. Like for instance, here, I've got one side and I've got a top of this, like the scroll figure. And then I've got this little bit over here. So I can just imagine that it kind of just falls off there. I'm going to turn, I'm going to look at this section here. I've got a top, I've got one side, so it needs its mirror image curving around this way on the other side. So counterclockwise down. So it's going to be hard to put a cap on this one because it's kind of falling behind that shape that we already made, but that's fine. You know it's there. And I like that it's underneath now. Okay, so now I'm just looking at the orbs that I have on my paper and sort of going with what's happening. So I want to turn this way. I have this top side here. I'm going to make one side of my phone receiver clockwise down and around, mirroring that shape that we have there. And then the mirror image over on the other side. And again, the top of this one, we just imagine it falls underneath our shell shape. And then here, I have this one lonely guy hanging out. So we're going to hook him up with his friend because we've got this side of the phone receiver here. We make the other one going in the other direction over here. And then to tie up loose ends, this is open. This is an open end here, so we're gonna curve around and put a top on that. And I have one more open end up here, so I'm just gonna curve around and put a top on that. Yours are not gonna be exactly like mine, but something like that. And then I also have this little section over here where I'm just gonna imagine that there's another one, but it mostly falls behind this shell. So we end up with a little section of crazy Huggins all this way in that. They could stay just like this, but there's lots of fun things that we can do inside of Huggins. And I usually like to start with all things with an aura. So inside each of these shapes, I'll go back to this first one that we did because it's nice and big and clear. So on our phone receiver sides, I'm just going to go in an aura. Okay, just the two sides, just the mirrored image phone receivers, not the ones that face each other, not the caps, if that makes any sense at all. I don't know that I'm explaining this well, but you all seem okay. I don't hear anyone screaming at me. So just going to go ahead and aura. Those are my phone receivers. These, just a hint of them before they fall off the page. And then I have these two, where they kind of capped off. So I'm going to go ahead and just aura those as well, just to kind of define that. All right. So this is what we've got so far. So we're still working on filling in our
Monica,
background. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to drop. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Have a good night.
Okay, you too. Bye.
So I'm going to remove my spotlight so we can, I'd love to see how it's going for all of you. We're still in process, but it's fun to see what's kind of evolving. I'm going to see what colors you chose. So if you're brave, go ahead and hold up. Well, I hope you're all brave. Ooh, Gail, that's gorgeous. Stunning. Oh, Myrna, I like your different colors in the magnifying glass. That's really cool. Beautiful. Glenn, Amy, I love that you always have different styles in your same space. These are great. Rebecca, that looks awesome. Arlene, very pretty. These are fabulous. Enid, look at you, our newbie who's really taken off. These are great. Marcia, it's beautiful. Oh, is yours green too? I love that. Nice.
I figured out halfway through why I had no control. My green's a 5.
Oh, yeah, it's a bigger one. Well, that's nice. You'll have a nice bold background. That's great. All right. How are we doing? Are we enjoying this? It's a little bit different than what we usually do. Great. All right. Well, fantastic. So to be continued, we have one more session next week in this series, and hopefully we'll finish our background and see if we want to do something else. All right, everyone. Have a wonderful evening. I'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye.
You're welcome. Always 6:30 and the same link. So, and if you, the link's on the website, always 6:30. And I think we changed that now in the weekly. So no confusion. I'll see you soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye.